What if the reason your net worth feels stuck is not that you are bad with money, and not that investing has stopped working, but that you are watching the wrong scoreboard? Two people can both have a net worth of $80,000 and be in completely different financial positions. One may have most of that number tied up in home equity, almost no cash, and a large credit card balance quietly eating $300 a month in interest. The other may rent, hold 6 months of expenses in cash, carry no high-interest debt, and own a growing investment account that compounds whether or not they look at it. Same headline number, completely different reality. One of them is being slowly pulled backward while standing still. The other is moving forward, invisibly, and the scoreboard they are watching does not show it. So today, instead of using $1 amount to decide whether you are winning, we are going to build a better financial ladder. 6 stages, based not on what you own, but on what your money can actually do for you. Each stage has a different set of rules. Each one has a different enemy. And most people get stuck not because they run out of money, but because they never realize they have quietly graduated from one stage and are still playing by the old rules. Stay till the end, because I will also give you a 5-number dashboard that shows whether you are truly moving forward, even when your net worth looks painfully slow. And if this helps you see your own finances more clearly, give the video a like. It helps more people find it. Now, Stage 1. Stage 1 is called survival, and the rule of this stage is simple. Stop the bleeding before anything else. This is the stage where cash flow is negative or barely positive, where the month runs out before the paycheck does, where the credit card is not a tool, it is a lifeline. And here is the thing nobody says clearly enough. Being in this stage is not a character flaw. It is a math problem with a cash flow solution. And cash flow problems are structural before they are behavioral. A 2024 Federal Reserve survey found that roughly 37% of American adults would struggle to cover an unexpected $400 expense without borrowing or selling something. Not 4%, 37%. So if you have ever been in this stage, you were not unusual. You were the norm. The system is built on the assumption that most people stay close to this edge. The entire consumer credit industry, worth over $1.3 trillion in outstanding revolving debt as of early 2025, according to the Fed, depends on it. The goal in Stage 1 is not to invest. It is not to build wealth. The goal is to buy yourself a margin. 1 month of expenses sitting somewhere untouched. That is it. That is the win. Because without a margin, every unexpected cost gets added to the debt pile. And the debt pile grows faster than any savings account on earth can match it. A credit card at 24% interest charges you more in 1 year than most savings accounts earn in 3. Meet Danielle. She was 29, working in retail management, making $44,000 a year in a mid-cost city. Her checking account averaged $180 at the end of each month. Her credit cards, 2 of them, carried a combined balance of $6,400. She was making minimum payments, which meant she was paying roughly $128 a month just to stay in place. She told me she felt like she was in a hamster wheel. She was. But the wheel had a name. It was called minimum payment math. Her $6,400 at 22% interest, paid at minimums, would have taken her 11 years to clear and cost her nearly $6,000 in interest on top of the original balance. Danielle did one thing differently. She paused every non-essential subscription, $94 a month, and redirected that plus an extra $60 she found in her grocery budget toward the smaller card. She cleared it in 7 months, then redirected everything to card 2. She was out of Stage 1 in under 2 years, not because her income changed, because her math changed. The 5-number check for Stage 1. Is your monthly cash flow positive? Do you have at least 1 month of expenses in a separate account, not your checking account? Is your highest interest debt under 20%? If yes to all 3, you are ready to leave Stage 1. If no to any of them, that is the only game worth playing right now. Stage 2 is called foundation, and its enemy is false urgency. This is the stage where people are no longer in crisis, and the moment the immediate pressure lifts, they start making expensive decisions. A newer car, an upgraded apartment, the vacation they have been putting off. This is not a moral failure. This is a completely predictable human response to the relief of not drowning. The problem is that false urgency, the sense that you finally deserve to spend, arrives exactly when your compounding engine is trying to start. And every dollar that goes out the door in Stage 2 is not just a dollar. It is everything that dollar would have become. The foundation stage has one central job: build a 3 to 6 month emergency fund and get your employer match in full. Let's be precise about why the employer match matters so much at this exact stage. If your employer matches 4% of your salary and you earn $55,000 a year, That match is worth $2,200 annually. That is an instant 100% return on the money you contribute up to that threshold. No market delivers that. Nothing else in personal finance is even close to that return on day one. And yet, according to Vanguard's 2024 How America Saves report, roughly 25% of eligible employees leave some or all of their employer match on the table. They are handing back free money because Stage 2's false urgency convinced them they needed the cash flow now. The emergency fund is not optional either. Here is why it matters structurally, not emotionally. Without 3 to 6 months of expenses in a liquid account, every market downturn becomes a forced selling event. If the market drops 30% and you have no cash buffer, and your car breaks down, and you need $1,400, you are selling investments at the worst possible time. The emergency fund is not a savings account. It is an insurance policy against behavioral mistakes during downturns. Marcus was 33, a software developer earning $87,000. He had cleared his credit card debt a year earlier and felt genuinely free for the first time. He promptly signed a lease on an apartment $600 more per month than his previous one, bought a used BMW, and increased his dining budget significantly. His net worth barely moved for 2 years after that. Not because he was making bad investment choices, because he was spending the surplus that would have funded the foundation. He eventually put a pause on lifestyle expansion, moved the extra cash into a high-yield savings account, at the time earning around 4.5%, and funded his 401k to the match. His net worth moved $18,000 in the following year. Same income, different sequencing. Sequencing is the real skill in Stage 2, not budgeting, not willpower. Sequencing. Stage 3 is called stability, and this is the stage most people confuse with wealth. Stability means your basic financial structure is solid. Emergency fund, done. High interest debt, cleared. Employer match, captured. And now, for the first time, you have genuine discretionary cash flow. This is also where lifestyle inflation becomes the most dangerous predator in the system, because now it has real prey. Here is the data point that should stop you cold. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics Consumer Expenditure Survey, American households in the upper middle income bracket, those earning between $80,000 and $120,000, spend roughly 93 cents of every dollar they earn. They look stable. They feel comfortable. But they are one layoff away from Stage 1 because their spending has silently matched their income. This is called Parkinson's law of money. Expenses rise to meet available income unless you build a structural barrier that prevents it. The structural barrier is called the pay yourself first principle. And in Stage 3 it has to become automatic and invisible. Not a commitment, not a plan, a system. Money that never hits your checking account cannot be spent on whatever is in the window this month. The target in Stage 3 is a savings and investment rate of at least 20% of gross income, not net. Gross. If you earn $75,000 and automate 20%, $15,000 a year, into a mix of 401k, Roth IRA, and taxable brokerage, here's what that does. At a 7% average annual return over 25 years, that $15,000 per year becomes approximately $950,000, nearly $1 million, from one intentional decision made in Stage 3. The people who build real wealth are not smarter than everyone else. They automate in Stage 3 before lifestyle inflation can find the money. Priya was 38, a marketing director earning $96,000. Her net worth was $47,000. Modest for her age and income, because her lifestyle had grown every time her salary had. She drove a car she could not quite afford, lived in a neighborhood that matched her coworkers, and took one international vacation annually on credit. She was not broke. She was exactly stable enough to feel like she was winning. She started automating $1,600 per month into index funds and a Roth IRA. She did not cut the vacation. She did not move apartments. She just automated first. Within 18 months, her investment account had crossed $30,000, and for the first time, she felt a number growing that was not connected to her next paycheck. That disconnection, money growing independent of your labor, is the first real feeling of Stage 3 working. Stage 4 is called momentum, and this is where the math starts doing the heavy lifting. In the first 3 stages, you are building the engine. In Stage 4, the engine is running, and you can feel it. Investment accounts are growing meaningfully. Compound interest is no longer theoretical. It shows up as real dollars in your balance each month that you did not earn by working. This is also the stage where most people make the critical mistake of comparing their portfolio to someone else's. The 2025 UBS Global Wealth Report noted that global wealth inequality has widened significantly over the past decade, with a disproportionate share of new wealth accumulation concentrated in financial assets rather than labor income. The people accelerating past you in stage 4 are almost always not earning dramatically more. They entered the compounding cycle earlier and with more consistency. Time is the variable most people underestimate. The enemy of stage 4 is comparison. And comparison has a new form in 2025. It is not just keeping up with neighbors. It is watching other people's highlight reel financial decisions on social media and misreading them as a personal indictment. Someone announces a property purchase, someone else reveals a business exit, and the stage 4 investor starts questioning whether index funds are enough, whether they should be doing something more aggressive, whether they are being left behind. They are not. The data is clear. Vanguard research consistently shows that after fees and taxes, the vast majority of actively managed funds underperform a simple index strategy over any 15-plus year period. Stage 4 success is not about finding the hot trade. It is about not making the mistakes that comparisons tempt you into. James was 44, an accountant with a household income of $130,000 between him and his partner. Their index fund portfolio had grown to $280,000. A colleague at work had made $60,000 on a single stock in 1 year and would not stop talking about it. James moved $40,000 into a concentrated position in a sector he did not fully understand based on that conversation. He lost $22,000 in 14 months. The S&P 500 returned 11% in that same period. His stage 4 setback was not a market problem. It was a comparison problem. The $40,000 left alone at 7% over 20 years would have become approximately $155,000. He handed back $155,000 in future value to feel like he was doing something. In stage 4, the most valuable thing you can do is almost nothing. Contribute consistently. Rebalance annually. Increase your contribution rate each time your income rises. Boring wins. This is a good moment. If this breakdown is changing how you think about your own finances, subscribe. This channel builds out the real numbers every week, without hype, without shortcuts. Now the next stage is the one almost nobody talks about clearly, and it is where most high earners actually stall. Stage 5 is called pre-independence, and its enemy is the identity of being a high earner. Pre-independence is the stage where your investment assets could theoretically sustain a portion of your lifestyle, not all of it, but a meaningful portion, through returns alone. It is the stage where the portfolio starts to look like a number you could actually live off someday, and the math goes from abstract to real. This is also the stage where the identity trap hits hardest. The high earner who has reached stage 5 often has an expensive life that matches their earned income. The homes, the cars, the private schools, the travel, all of it is calibrated to the paycheck, not to the portfolio. And so a $900,000 portfolio, which could conservatively generate $36,000 per year at a 4% withdrawal rate, feels meaningless against a $180,000 annual spending level. The number looks big. The gap is bigger. The practical work of stage 5 is twofold. First, determine your actual financial independence number, the portfolio size at which your investments produce enough income to cover your essential expenses. The formula is simple. Annual essential expenses multiplied by 25. If your essential costs are $60,000 per year, your FI number is $1.5 million. If they are $90,000, you need $2.25 million. This calculation, developed from the original Trinity study and subsequently confirmed by decades of updated research, shows that a 4% withdrawal rate from a diversified portfolio has historically survived 30-plus year retirement windows more than 95% of the time. Second, reduce the gap between your earned income lifestyle and your FI number by intentionally designing a version of your life that you would be genuinely satisfied living on investment income alone. This is not about deprivation. It is about separating the spending that actually brings you life satisfaction from the spending that is social signaling in disguise. Elena was 51. A senior executive earning $210,000 per year. Her net worth was $1.1 million, almost entirely in retirement accounts. By the standard FI formula, if her essential expenses were $70,000 per year, she needed a $1.75 million portfolio. She was close, but her actual lifestyle cost $155,000 annually, which meant her real FI number was $3.875 million. She was not even halfway there. Not because she had done anything wrong with money, because she had never run this calculation clearly. Once she did, she redesigned her spending intentionally, not by cutting what mattered, but by identifying the $40,000 in annual spending that was entirely performance-based. She redirected it. Within 4 years, her portfolio reached $1.9 million. The stage did not change because she earned more. It changed because she finally knew what she was actually building toward. Stage 6 is called independence, and it is quieter than you expect. Independence does not look the way social media has taught you to imagine it. There is no dramatic announcement. There is no sports car. The people who have genuinely reached stage 6, whose investment returns cover their life expenses sustainably, are almost invisible in the way they live. They have long since stopped optimizing for what other people see. Their money is working hard enough that they do not need to. According to the 2025 Empower Personal Wealth Report, only approximately 4% of Americans between 50 and 65 have sufficient investable assets to sustain their current lifestyle through retirement without continuing to earn active income. 4%. The gap between what people believe they are building toward and what the math actually requires is the central financial tragedy of our time. But here is the counterintuitive truth that closes the loop on everything we have discussed. The people at stage 6 are almost never the ones who looked rich at stage 2 or stage 3. They are not the ones who drove the newest car in the parking lot or lived in the biggest house on the block at 35. They are the ones who made quiet, consistent, invisible choices through each stage, choices that looked like falling behind to everyone watching the wrong scoreboard. They drove the boring car while their neighbor drove the impressive one. They lived slightly below their income at every salary level. They automated before they could spend. They stayed in index funds while colleagues told them about exciting opportunities. And they ran the math clearly and often, so they always knew exactly which stage they were in and what that stage required. Now, the 5-number dashboard I promised you. Number 1. Your monthly cash flow surplus. Take-home income minus all spending. If this number is negative, stage 1 is the only game. If it is positive, this number is your weekly engine, the raw material everything else is built from. Number 2. Your high-interest debt balance. Anything above 7% interest is destroying more wealth than most investments can build. This number needs to move down relentlessly until it reaches 0. Number 3. Your emergency fund in months. Take your liquid, accessible savings and divide by your monthly essential expenses. Below 3 months means you are one crisis away from reversing progress. Number 4. Your savings and investment rate as a percentage of gross income. Below 10% is survival mode. 10 to 20 is building. Above 20% is where compounding starts to feel real. The Vanguard research consistently shows that savings rate is the most controllable driver of retirement readiness, more than investment returns, more than timing the market. Number 5. Your FI ratio. Divide your current investment portfolio by your financial independence number, your annual expenses multiplied by 25. A ratio of 0.1 means you are 10% of the way there. A ratio of 0.5 means you are halfway. This number gives you a progress marker that does not depend on comparing yourself to anyone else. It is just your position on your specific map. Check these 5 numbers quarterly, not daily. Quarterly. Daily checking produces emotional noise. Quarterly checking produces data. Now go back to the image that started this conversation. 2 people, both with $80,000 net worth. One with a house, no cash, and a credit card balance that costs $300 a month to maintain. The other renting, holding a funded emergency buffer, debt-free, with a growing investment account that just crossed its first significant threshold. Which one is winning? The one with the house might feel like they are. Their net worth number is the same. They own something physical and visible. Their coworkers at the dinner table would likely assume they are doing well. But financially, they are in stage 1 disguised as stage 3. The emergency fund is missing. The debt is pulling backward. And the home equity, while real, is a liquid capital sitting still while the other person's investments compound quietly. The renter looks like they have less. By most social measures, they do. But they are in stage 3 moving towards stage 4, unencumbered by high-interest obligations, with cash available to weather anything without selling an investment at the wrong moment. They are not behind. They just look that way on the wrong scoreboard. The scoreboard most people are watching rewards appearance. The one that actually matters rewards function. What your money can do, not what it looks like. And once you know the 6 stages, once you have run the 5 numbers and can see exactly which stage you are actually in and what it requires, you will stop seeing the flashy spender as someone who is winning. You will start seeing the quiet automator, the boring index fund holder, the person who drives the understated car and rarely talks about money, and you will recognize them. They are the ones who are winning silently, exactly on schedule. If you want to understand the full framework that underpins everything we talked about today, the math behind the 4% rule, how to build an index portfolio from scratch, and what compound interest actually looks like across real 30-year timelines, watch that video next. It builds directly on what we just covered. Your net worth is not your grade. It is your starting point. And now you know what stage you are in.